This is the Creator Podcast with Jeff and Gus, episode 2, and we're talking about the art in creating board games, tabletop games. Am I right?
Tabletop, analog.
Oh yeah, I never even heard of that. Analog games?
Yeah, these kids nowadays are used to digital games, so
Right.
we do analog.
This is where it originated.
Well, it's like the clock on the wall. The school clock is an analog clock, and Swatch came out with their handheld wristwatches, and they're all digital calculators, everything.
Right. This is how it all started, and I guess we should start from the beginning. Like, have you made games when you were a kid?
Yeah, I used to make games with my brother. We would make mazes, which I forget what they're called now. It's basically like quest kind of games. So, you draw the maze, and then you draw the little stick figure with a sword, and then you're like, oh, you have to go here to get the key to unlock the door to get into the monster and stuff like that.
I remember those. Those were pretty cool. Like I've been thinking about this, and I almost feel old. I was just watching. It doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but Rick Baker, he's on a podcast and he's talking about how monster movies and before CGI, and it was making me think about with board games and all this. Like when I was a kid, I was so excited just to make something like that, where it's like, let's make a weird game. And I'm not sure if, it's just my kids or other kids I see, but I feel like kids are losing that. They're losing that, like, let's get our hands dirty and do something. It's all about, let's just look at our phone all day.
Yeah, well, I can't really speak to that because I don't have children, nor do I hang around many children.
Well, no, but
it seems like it's a consensus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you see kids, and that's all they really do. And it's just, but I just remember that joy I had, and I wonder if that's ever gonna get fully lost. Like I would hope it's not like this relic, almost like how we used to write, where we dip the pen in the ink, and then we have these magical pens that just write, and then we're like, hey, who needs a pen? Let's just tip tap away.
Yeah, well, I think it's a little different because the idea of games is kind of just the idea of using your imagination, and so I think part of it's like when you're a kid and you want to build a clubhouse, or you get a big giant cardboard box and you pretend it's a rocket ship, and that kind of thing. Like that's just like childhood imagination, and I hope, and I'll try and be positive about it. I hope that that's not lost in children growing up. I would still hope that phones and things like that aren't killing imaginations.
Yeah, I mean, I would think there's got to be something getting lost. I would think that that's probably happening because I've been in the grocery stores and I've seen I've seen toddlers holding a phone and like they're just zonked out. Like I'm talking 2 years old, even maybe a baby, like a 1 years old. And I get it as a parent, like you just want to grocery shop, but I'm guessing there has to be some of that gone. But yeah, I mean, going back to the games we're talking about, I was thinking about that too before this call. Like that was such an exciting thing, and I would even go beyond like the stick figure mazes. I remember I didn't know what the heck I was doing, so I would take like a cardboard box and put like a little metal ball in it, and I'd try to build like a physical maze that you'd have to move, and I'd try to have like sort of like a pinball game, but it probably didn't do anything at all. Like if you saw it, you'd go, that doesn't do anything. But I always wanted to do stuff like that, and I mean, I kind of remember back then, no one really wanted to do anything like that. Like they just thought, like, what the hell are you doing?
Right. There's no point to it. Like what am I gonna get out of it? It's not it's not a Nintendo game or
Yeah, because
whatever.
we still had that. Like we had, I grew up. I remember the first video game I saw was a dot on the screen, and that was it. Like you would have to put this weird gun right up to the screen and like try to shoot the dot.
Yeah, that was the dawn of the digital games.
Yeah, but we're not going there today.
We're going analog.
We're going
Going
before.
going analog. Yeah, I remember, growing up, like I think, specifically like our generation and stuff, I think we were the kids that were doing Monopoly, I would say maybe Clue,
Mhm.
Sorry. Hungry Hungry Hippos. Like I think those are the kind of games that I remember playing as a kid.
I
And
remember seeing commercials for them, but I really never played much board games until I was maybe 12, and it was like I think Hero Quest, but I didn't read the directions. I just made up my own game with it.
yeah, I remember Hero Quest. I never played it. And I didn't learn about it until I was an adult, but Hero Quest has a pretty decent set of rules for a children's game.
Yeah, and I would just chuck that and be like, this is what the game is, because I mean that's just kind of my personality where I don't want to do that, but yeah, but I remember I made my own version of that and it kind of worked. I don't know if I played by myself or had a friend, but I was making a lot of kind of weird games. Like when I heard of, you remember Magic the Gathering, I'm guessing you were really young when that came out, right?
I used to play it. Yeah, I played when the I think second edition came out. So I was pretty an early adopter, I would say.
Yeah. Like what grade was that for you?
Um, I'm not sure what grade. I remember it was
Yeah.
at my campground, but it was in the 90s. Yeah, I don't remember. Early 90s.
Okay. Yeah. So you might have been like 9 or 10. That's pretty young. Yeah. So I loved that. I was fascinated, but I didn't have enough money really to get those. Those cards were kind of expensive back then, weren't
Oh
they?
yeah, they were really expensive. Yeah,
Yeah. It was
especially
like,
for like an allowance.
yeah, I remember it being a lot and I was kind of intimidated by it. So what I did is I just would look at the cards as best as I could, other people's cards. And I thought I'm gonna make up my own little card game and play with my sister and see if I can get her to buy a pack or just or just like scribble. Uh, and I remember it kind of worked in my head. Like I felt like, yeah, this does it. Because I remember thinking it's crazy. You have to make a game where there's no dice, it's just the cards, and
Right.
it's not poker or anything.
It's pretty text heavy as well.
Yeah, I would also do that though. You ever take a deck of cards and you're like, let's just make up a game,
Um,
like playing cards.
no, no, I knew go fish and stuff, but I didn't really ever
Yeah,
try and do it with playing cards.
yeah. I remember like I would come up with like 20 different game ideas with a deck of cards and like call them weird names like werewolf or you know what I mean, just like strange things like that, where it was just using your imagination to make it so much more elaborate than it was. But I remember at the time I didn't feel like I was being creative or anything special. I just thought like this is what I want to do. But I never saw anyone else do stuff like that. But I just remember thinking like I didn't think it was special at all. It kind of took me a long time to realize like thinking like that was not the norm.
Like not everybody wants to just make stuff that's different.
Yeah, and just be creative and that kind of thing. Like dive and like, well, what could we do here? Like let's not play poker. Let's play, like werewolf instead,
Right. Like
or
let's
like
do our own stuff.
kill the king or something, things like that. And but that's what really sparked it. And I remember, you know, for listeners, me and Jeff made our own game called Nerd Battles. This was our first game, and you asked me, you said, "Hey, let's play a board game." I do kind of enjoy it, but I remember I said to you, and like I know you've heard this a lot, but I said, "Give me 60 seconds. I just want to pitch you an idea." Because that's what excites me so much more than playing a game is like let's make something. And I remember you let me have my little 60-second pitch and then you kept asking me question after question after question, which I kind of on the spot was just like making up. And
Yeah. Well, at
yeah,
that point, like when we did that, like I started getting big into like strategy gaming maybe 10 years prior. And that was my first foray into games that were not Monopoly or not Risk. I call them like Target games, like games that you can get at Target. Like
yeah,
I was introduced to games that they didn't sell at Target like 10 years ago, and these are more, heavily, a lot of them are like Euro style gaming and things like that. And so it was a lot more complicated. So when you pitched me the idea, oh, it's nerds fighting and stuff like that. I started in my mind, and I'm more analytical, so I'm starting to think about what are the strategic components to it. What are the win conditions? What are the ways that you can battle? What's the math behind it? What are the formulas, equations? So you're talking about, man, it'd be cool if like this guy had a big fuzzy sword, and I'm thinking, well, what's the hit damage and how does it
Right.
relate and what's the play balancing, and that's the stuff that goes on in my head.
Yeah, which is super, super important when making the game. Um, I mean, it was a lot of fun though, like making that, and I know we got it in the Spencers, which was kind of crazy on its own, and then now we're kind of just like we got to find out what's next. We have a distributor who I signed on with, but we're kind of waiting to see. I was just gonna email him before this, but see what's kind of going on with those guys because they could change our lives with it overnight. They could be like, it's in every Target or Walmart or Barnes and Noble globally, and we'd have to be like, well, we need $100,000 to fulfill this order. Um, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
and I
it's
would
just
say too, it like like for the listeners, like I think it's important to know that Gus and I, we're artists, and we have creative ideas and we work hard, but we're regular people. And Gus was saying, we made this board game, we did it all, we threw it all, and it was in Spencer's. Like, so anyone like that is thinking about something like that, like, oh, like I could never get a board game into a retail store, like that's impossible. Like, it's not. Like, we did
yeah,
it, and if you work hard enough and you do everything you got to do and you look into it, do research, it's something that you can do if you really want to. It's not an impossible dream, and that goes with a lot of things. People think, oh, I can't do that. That's somebody else has to do that. A big company has to do that. But
yeah. Well, yeah, and I feel like sometimes I almost make it sound easy because the way I look at things, and even get reminded every day of it, is like as long as you have the intention to do it, and we probably even talked about this last episode, but if you have that intention and focus and you work towards it, it starts to happen. It's almost like the mysteries of the universe in a sense. It's just like you have to take the steps. You don't just say, I want to do this and try a little bit, but you could find a way, and it's kind of funny how it all works out, you know.
right,
It,
yeah, nothing's gonna fall in your lap.
yeah, and almost you can never even predict the way it's going to work out. That's the weird thing. You always think of something. I don't know if that's how it is with you, but whatever you want something to happen, and then you see it happen, it's never the way you imagine it happen. It's like it just seems more realistic the way it actually happens, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like your path of getting there, you could never fully write it out. It seems for me. But yeah, like we had no idea what we were doing. It started off talking about an idea for a game, and then maybe fast forward an hour and a half later, we were making a paper version of it,
Yeah,
um,
we started on the prototype.
and started testing it and making it better and better and better. And it's cool seeing it. Like I don't even think about the game too much because I'm always doing something else. But we still have copies available, and we're still pushing forward to get it to take off. Because Spencer's only took what was it, like 300 units or 600 units.
Yeah, a small, yeah, run.
Yeah, and then we were instantly thinking like, let's do some more games. So we do have to make a new game eventually.
Yeah, well, we started on the one about galactic prisoner saving something or other.
Yeah,
That was an idea that.
and that was a weird approach. We did have other games too that were really fun that we play tested. Um, I'm almost even forgetting what they were. I know we had a name called Idiot Army or something.
Yeah, that
Um,
was the two-player kind of war-based game.
yeah, I think we stayed away from it because it was two player, right?
Yeah, I think like, and that's what when we were doing nerd battles. A big part of nerd battles was I never liked player elimination. If you're gonna sit around and play with your friends, let's get four friends together and play this card game. Halfway through, oh, Johnny died. He's out of the game. He has to sit here and watch. I never
Yeah,
liked that. And so, my experience as a gamer, an analog gamer, I would say if I ever made a game, I would not have player elimination. So that's just things that, from my experience, we can work into where it's fun for everybody. So,
yeah, yeah. But we have elimination in that game, right? I'm almost like forgetting. It's like
and Nerd Battles does not have player elimination. Like,
okay, it doesn't.
you can
Yeah.
you can lose all your stuff and be in a bad spot, but you're still in it.
Yeah, I forget it does that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, the two-player army game, yeah, we're saying, two-player, it's not as a big market, not as fun. Um, and then you also, the war aspect of it. If we rethemed it, it could be something where it's less gratuitous. I mean, little kids love like, giant Acme toy novelty bombs and stuff like that. But when you start putting it into games, kids and maybe parents seem to avoid some of that stuff.
yeah, I never know. One thing I wrote down to talk about was like my wife saw a game in the store the other day, and it's like pitched as like a target game, like you say. But it was a game like I played, like I thought I made up, kind of, And not that it's that creative. It's just that I would tell when the kids were bored when they were younger, I'd be like, let's play a game called like Pitch Me an Idea, like a commercial game. Like you have to act out and sell this product. And we would grab like a shoe and say like it's this sneaker, or it was mostly made up stuff, or we'd have nothing in our hand and pitch a product, explain what it is. It was a lot of fun, a really good creative exercise. It's almost like improv. But that she said that was out now in stores. Like that's the game.
Pitch the product game.
Yeah, it's like a pitch the product game but they sell you those cards and those prompts and stuff like that. But
Right. Yeah.
it was pretty much that kind of. That's it. That's the idea. So it's just interesting. I'm sure like that's probably something that family played and was like, we should make money off this. Let's do it. You know.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
noticed a lot more of those kind of simple, fun kind of party games. Especially
yeah.
since Barnes and Noble started carrying a lot of those. When I first got into board gaming, it was hard to find games like more strategy type games besides like a comic book shop or specifically a board game shop. But then, places like Barnes and Noble started carrying them, and then the inventory of their board games and card games started just going up and up and up. And I just saw all these almost clones of each other, these simple, silly party games.
Yeah.
Probably Cards Against Humanity probably started a big chunk of that. Um,
Yeah, that really blew up. I remember I watched their Kickstarter just to see like what they did, and it was surprising to me that they only raised compared to how much some Kickstarters raise. I think they raised like $15,000 or something that wasn't a crazy impressive number. Um, and then it became this just kind of took over and yeah, like tons of people copied it. And one game I was surprised about too, it might have been pre that was the Headbands game. Have you seen that? It's like everybody licenses it now. Like Disney has their own version, and do you know what I'm talking about? Where like, you wear
you
like
wear something like the name on. Yeah, that was an old just a party game. You didn't need a board game to play it. You just got an index card and you stuck it to your
yeah,
head.
right. Like it's just like a household like let's make up a game kind of thing,
Right. Yeah.
and then it became like hey let's sell this. Let's just. I always think it's weird when there's something like that where like they're just selling you the stuff so you could be lazier. You know what I mean? They're like it's like here take this and you know what I mean? There's a lot of gimmick games like that where it's like
Yeah.
you could
They're
just play this game.
cashed in on it. Yeah, I think yeah, when we first met, I remember we played a game that I think I had found online called Eat Poop You Cat.
Hmm.
That's one name for it. I think there's a bunch of other names. But it's a thing where you would draw a picture and then somebody would draw a phrase and then you pass the pieces of paper and then
Yeah.
somebody would draw a picture of the phrase and somebody would try and write a phrase based on what they thought was going on in the picture. And that was basically the game. And it was just, you would just have fun. You'd look at everybody's pictures, read the stuff, and it was a good time. You just crack up laughing because all the crazy stuff people said. But then I think I saw that game in the store. It was called something different, but it was
Yeah.
the exact same concept. It was write something and then draw something. But you just need like paper and pencils to play that. You don't have to spend 9.99 at your local Target.
Yeah, it's like they like to just package these ideas and claim it so they can make some money. And I guess it works too if you're like a family that doesn't want to think too much with it. You just want to like dive in and be like, yeah, here it is. This is the game. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, well, I suppose ideas like that also, don't have strict copyrights on them. It's just something that has been passed down, from between families, and then somebody monetizes it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I did make a few games on my own with before you that never took off, probably because I didn't work on them with you. But do you remember Zominals?
Yeah, Zominals was like the zombie animals, right?
Yeah, it was like this board game company came up to me at a show and they liked my stuff. I don't think they liked it a lot, but in my head I was like, cool, they're interested. I'm gonna pitch them an idea. And I like immediately came up with an idea just so I could have it in front of them. And I barely tested it. I think I had you test it with me once, and you gave me all these like notes where it was broken. So I still went forward with it because I was just like, but I mean, if I look back at anything I've done like 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago, I look at my Facebook memories and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like my my trying level has increased, I'd say in the last year by like, I don't know, 500%. Like I really I would try harder than I used to ever, and every year I think I've always moved up, but last year was a huge jump. But I remember I just kind of forced that game into their hands, and I have a nice prototype of it, but like that was the issue. It was always kind of broken, and I never got to fix it because it really takes a lot of time to test the game to get it perfect.
Yeah, playtesting is a huge part of game development. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like for nerd battles, I know we both did our own independent testing. Um, I would like take it to friends' house and see how much fun it was and see if there was any major problems. And I think that really helped us like just narrow down what you have to do, like the little tiny tweaks. But I'm sure there's probably a few tweaks that maybe needed, but I know anyone who's played it has really had a good time, which to me is, I think, the most important.
Yeah, as long as I think a game that you can get lost in is doing something. So I think for this game, it's the idea that you're lost in the sense that you've got all these nerds battling each other, and when Collector Carl hits you with his fuzzy sword or throws a dirty tire at you, you kind of you're in the world of the nerd battles and you kind of see that happening.
Yeah,
And I think that's a fun aspect of the game is the theming.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if you take all that away, it's probably really, really simple. But I guess that's what kind of excited me. And I remember playing it and feeling like you're doing those things. That's kind of what any good tabletop game will do. Is it kind of makes you feel like you're escaping a little bit and you're in this land. Because I mean, people get really hooked to games like tabletop games, especially D&D, that kind of stuff. Like they just immerse themselves. And I think it was at Barnes and Noble. I saw the one day. It was like the whole upstairs. There was maybe 30 tables of people playing some kind of, I don't know what it is. Like I'm guessing D&D, but I have no idea. Have you seen that?
Not at Barnes and Noble. You should have called me. I would have won. Is it? Oh.
Yeah, yeah, I saw it, and I told the kids to check it out, but they weren't even interested. Um, but yeah, it was just kind of cool. I mean, I guess it's good to see that that's been a really growing thing, and I think it's been thankful to Kickstarter, is what I heard. Like that's what kind of did the boom of tabletop that's been happening.
Yeah, I know. I've backed quite a few Kickstarters. I've probably given a bit more money than I would have liked to spend on some games, but I think that's awesome though. Kickstarter is doing that. They're letting people see all these games. It has caused a huge uptick in miniature games, which I'm not that big of a fan of. I
Yeah.
love the art of miniatures, little tiny figures. I
Okay. Yeah.
I
Right.
think that's awesome. And with the way that things are made now with like 3D printing and 3D modeling and being able to make molds really quickly with that kind of technology, a lot of these games can be made for cheaper than they would have been in the past. Back in the day, it would have been like lead figures. Old D&D figures had I
Yeah.
think it was Ral Partha or something used to make the lead D&D figures, and uh, and that was probably expensive to make back in the day. So a lot of these Kickstarters, they're the games don't seem like they're that great, but they will do so well on Kickstarter because they have tons and tons of little miniatures, and
Oh,
that's
really?
what people
So,
are throwing their money at. Yeah.
so you're saying the gameplay kind of sucks?
I actually got a game a year or two ago, a few years back, called Rising Sun,
Yeah.
and I was really excited for this game, but mostly because of the miniatures. The miniatures were awesome, and some of them were really big, like 4 minute. They were big miniatures, but
Yeah.
the the art on it was awesome, and so I was sold on that. I barely looked into what the game was about. I was like, the game it's probably good. A lot of people are giving money, so the game's probably great. I got it. I've played it a couple times. Every time I've been like, I don't really like this game.
Right.
The miniatures are cool, but I don't really like the game. And I think a lot of Kickstarters, I've seen more and more Kickstarters, board game Kickstarters, where they're just pushing miniatures to make a buck, and the game
Yeah.
comes secondary.
I mean, that kind of makes me happy in a weird way because I like what makes me happy about it is that it's not that easy to make a good game. You know, and it's
Hmm.
I always want to feel like we have a shot at doing something cool and well done. And I know our original idea for Nerd Battles was to have miniatures. Just the cost would have been crazy amount of money,
Right.
um, unless you get a lot of funding from a Kickstarter. But I think for me, like I'm not a huge gamer. I never really was, but I do love making stuff. And uh, to me, if you can make a game with like great art, like you were saying, great characters, especially that you can get attached to. So when you're playing it, you're like, "That's my guy," or "That's my girl." You know, I love that. And then you make the game fun. Like to me, fun is over, I guess, anything else. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be the greatest, most strategic game, but if you have a really good time doing it, because that's the only way I really want to get sucked into something like that.
Yeah, if you're playing a game and you're not having any fun and you're bored or you're annoyed or even worse frustrated, then
Yeah,
you're not going to have a good time.
and
And
I've definitely gotten bored by games. You
yeah.
know, well, that's what I call board games. But yeah, it's kind of tough for me. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like the older you get, time is this strange thing because it's like there's so much stuff out there. Like it's like overwhelming how much stuff is out there now. So first of all, whenever someone like buys something of yours, it's like it's really amazing and like they could they could literally do anything they want on the planet just about like you could buy anything. So it's great when people are supportive of just some guys that are making stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's probably every day there's probably new games coming out on Kickstarter and guys like us thinking of stuff and that kind of stuff. So it's just such a vast thing, and that's just board games. You know what I mean? Just get
Yeah.
it just gets kind of overwhelming. It's like wow, there's endless. I'll never get to play millions of games.
Yeah, you kind of have to pick and choose what you're spending your time on now with such an oversaturation of entertainment choices. Like I have a bunch of games right now that are still in shrink. I want to play them and I bought them to play them, but I'm like I gotta find time to play these. I have to like budget my time. I'm like, well, do I want to work on art? Do I want to play board games? Do I want to watch this new show on Netflix? There's so many entertainment avenues that it's a little overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, I think we need to let people watch their favorite shows while they're sleeping. That way they could like do more cool stuff while they're awake. You
Yeah,
know?
just implant the entertainment data directly into your brain, and that way you wake up feeling satisfied, like, oh, I
Yeah.
watched 3 seasons of a show.
You did that. You played a video game. You know, you beat 3 video games, and you just woke up. Like that's got to be where it's gonna go.
Yeah, why are we wasting time doing these things physically when we can just inject entertainment right into our brains?
Yeah, it's probably gonna happen. I mean, since there's unlimited realities, infinity is that big. I guess it's already happening, and
Well, I
there's
remember.
yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I remember the commercial for PlayStation 9 where you inhale it through your nose. So I can't wait until that comes out.
Yeah, and that just sounds like a weird drug. I'm surprised they went with that.
Yeah, well.
How long ago was that commercial?
Oh, jeez, that was probably when PlayStation 2 came out.
Okay, yeah, so they're just like projecting how it's going to go. And what are they actually on? 4? Is that what we're on right now?
I think for I got out of the console game a while ago.
Yeah. Do you play any like online kind of thing?
I recently got into some computer games, but then I was terrible at those, so it shamed me out of not playing them.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about digital games, even though that's where that's where a lot of action is. But I will just say like, did you know that I don't know if it's still this many, but it was 100 million players on League of Legends.
Well, I remember I never played League of Legends. I've heard about it. I know that, and people are gonna be like, "What? This guy's never heard of this game." I know there's like tournaments and stuff. It's an esport. People play
Yeah,
it like it's
it's insanity. I mean, it's two guys that came up with it all, and basically did something they wanted to feed themselves this kind of game, and so they made it. Had some investors and that kind of thing, but it was 1% of the population of the whole entire world was playing. So it was over 100 million players, they said, which I can't even fathom that many people, playing playing the game, and they made billions off of it and all that. So
yeah.
it's crazy. I mean, I feel like it'd be hard for a tabletop game to do those kind of numbers. It'd be interesting if it would though, because I know Pokemon, the cards, like at one point, that took over the country.
Yeah, Pokemon was huge. I would say Magic the Gathering still has a huge following, mostly because of its addictive nature, I would say.
Okay, it is
It's like
addictive.
it's a drug. They come out with new and new cards every year, and people have to get the latest ones. Every comic book shop has Magic Nights where new booster packs come out and they do drafting and people trade
Oh,
cards
okay,
and everything. So
right.
Magic is still huge. I think for like a board game, I think Cards Against Humanity would probably rank up there as something that and that's just really a card game, but it's started putting some of those more party games back on the map, where people were like, oh, like we can do different stuff with our friends besides just drink. We can drink and play cards, you
Yeah,
know?
those are definitely made for like yeah, like party, like let's drink, get drunk, laugh, talk
Yeah,
about stupid stuff.
yeah, they're just party games, which it's party games are fine. I don't particularly play them that often, but they have a purpose, they have a genre.
Whenever I play them, and I guess it's just because I want to make stuff, I'm always like, I don't know, I always kind of have this attitude about it at first. Where I'm like, I don't want to, but I will because everyone wants to, and I just feel kind of weird the whole time. But once in a while, I'll play something like that and have a good time. But some of the ones that you could just buy in the store are just they're pretty bad.
Yeah, well, I think Cards Against Humanity is pretty much dead now for the most part because the novelty wore off. That's all it was. It was a game that
Yeah.
had a ton of dirty words and crazy references that you didn't see in Monopoly. So they were doing something completely different. Plus, the people that made it are crazy. They're awesome and they do all kinds of cool stuff because they just have like tons and tons of cash. But
Oh
yeah, I
yeah.
think the craze is pretty much over with that.
Yeah, I feel like I remember it for a few years. I think people just wanted to say, "Have you ever played Cards Against Humanity?" Like I think they just wanted to say that, and then like they show you, like they just want to introduce it to people. That was the excitement.
Yeah, they get excited. It's like when you see a YouTube video, you got to show everybody, you know.
Yeah, I think that was really what happened. Now that everybody heard of it, they're like, "Yeah, I played it. I own it." So no, I'm
Right,
not gonna play
right.
that. Um, I keep thinking this thing in the back of my head, like, what would be the coolest game in the world to play? And I mean, I don't know if we should not talk about it because we're like, oh no, we just gave this away. But is there like what do you look for in a game? Like, what would really just be like, that's what I was looking for? Is there something that you always think about, or that if you
Well,
had to think
it
about
it varies, but if I do have a thought, then that's the game that I'm gonna make. So
it? Yeah, yeah,
I
right.
yeah, I started designing a board game a while ago. Um, about I was getting really into YouTube videos of people making like underground huts and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen these videos. It's a huge like chunk of YouTube where it's people from it looks like they're just from other countries. I don't know what countries they're from, but they basically get like a stick and they
Mhm.
dig like a 20-foot hole and then they get clay and they crush up rocks and mix it with water and like basically make jungle swimming pools. I'm
Okay.
I'm pretty sure when the camera's not looking, they got a backhoe in there, but they make it look like. So I was getting really big into these videos of all these stuff they're making with bamboo and everything, and so I came up with the idea to make a board game where you have like limited resources and you have to build stuff. So like you have bamboo and you need to like get water purification with that, and every night you have to eat a certain amount of food or eat water or else you take damage. Or so I had all these ideas about this island survival thing. So I,
Yeah.
I looked into it a bit more, and then I got disheartened because one, it wasn't playing as well as I liked. It was more of a chore than it was fun. But two, there's a million and one island survival board games.
Oh
And
yeah.
so as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, I have to do something different. Like I just abandoned the idea. I didn't want to do it because it was a strategy that was similar to a lot of games, and it was a theme that had kind of been overdone. And so that
Right.
made me not want to do it. Like I want to make something that hasn't been done before because it's more fun.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of like, as you're saying that, I'm drawn, and I'm thinking of these weird like gimmicky, fun game ideas that are probably that are probably kind of they're probably kind of shitty, but they could be good enough. And I was thinking of one. These are gonna sound ridiculous, but I was thinking like it'd be weird if you got a game where you get like a little flashlight. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Besides, like, you get this little flashlight, and you have to like shine it on a piece of paper or something that the other people have, and you have to figure out what this shadowy thing is. Almost like some kind of weird mystery game where you just got a little crappy flashlight. But I feel like that would be the gimmick for kids. Like if they're like, "You're a spy. Here's the game." Like those commercials kind of sell you it in like 20 seconds, and the
Don't
kids.
wake daddy.
Yeah, any of those kind of things. This is some weird little like flashlight, crappy like shine a little thing, and you figure out what it. Oh, you discovered! I was trying to rob you.
That's how you always work backwards. Every time you have an idea, you're like, I picture the commercial. Like there's no
Yeah,
game yet. There's nothing there, but you're like, man, this commercial's gonna be great. Let's make a game so we can make this commercial.
that's it's true though. That's how I think. It's like I don't know. It excites me. I see it. I see glimpses of these commercials, or whatever it is. If it's a film, if it's a, I see a little glimpse of it, and I get so excited by that, and I chase it, and I'm like, yeah, we can make that happen. Because I feel like I don't know, like that's the thing. It's like you could discover it based on that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it just gets you excited about it. You're like, yeah, I could see that commercial too. It's like, oh, Dad, you caught me. You got the flashlight on my piece of paper.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Like here's another one. I thought of this immediately after. Um, Like you ever take you have cats, so you ever take like something like a long thing and the cat's like kind of like going after it, and you don't really have a blast, but you kind of do. Like it's like a stick with a little thing on it, and the cat's going nuts.
Yeah, you
Um,
want to make a version for children.
yeah, well, I want to make a thing where it's like I'm just picturing some kind of dome, and yeah, every kid has a little cat claw, almost like hippo, and it's like a little cat hand, and like they have to like if they grab the thing, like that cat gets it, you know what I mean? Like it's this little spinning like thing, or maybe that's automatic or something, and it changes. It's like and it's like spinning this little stupid thing, and all the kids are tapping, they're tapping their claws, and like gotta get it.
Yeah.
That kind of flashed in my head.
Kid,
Gimmicky things, you know.
go play the cat toy, kids. Mommy's gonna drink her wine.
Yeah, but kids, hey, everybody loves cats now. Like cats I think they've gone up in stock in the last like 15 years, like crazy.
Cats are in.
They're
Cats are
they're
real in.
they're pretty in. I mean, maybe it's just me because I have four, but I feel like that like people really love cats. Like I mean, people love dogs too, but cat people are cat people,
So
kind of.
there it is. For any of the listeners that want to make a board game, make a cat board game.
I just gave two great ideas that I guarantee if Mattel did them, they'd be making millions. Like
Well,
everybody.
Mattel's listening right now, and
Yeah,
so they're gonna
they're
they're gonna
definitely.
have those on they'll be in the shelves Christmas 2020.
But you know what's going to happen on their like Instagram account and stuff? Kids are going to comment, Gus Fink thought of it first, and
You can
then
only hope.
and those kids are going to feel like they won because they're going to get like 8 likes and it's going to get bumped up and they're going to
Mm.
feel so good or about that.
I heard it on episode 2 podcast.
They heard it and that's it. That's a big thing with today. I don't know if you've seen that. Like people want to be the first person to say something like you know what I mean? Like they know something about this post or something that but no one else commented on it yet. And they're like, I said it. I did that.
Yeah, well, that was a big thing on YouTube, right? You would comment first if you were the first comment on like a brand new video of some famous person that would eventually get 1,000,001 comments. You'd be like first. That's some bragging rights or something.
Yeah, I think people comment actually that they'll say first, right? That was even a thing.
Yeah, that was the internet bragging rights.
Yeah, like you
The
did it.
video's got 1,000,000 views, and you commented first. Like that's going on your resume. You go,
Future resumes, it will. Kids will
yeah,
be
it's
like,
gonna be like,
when I,
are you qualified for this job, sir? Well, this one time, Britney Spears put out this new video. I commented first.
and they're like, oh, I remember seeing that video. That's amazing.
I
You
might even
get,
put second on my
you're
resume.
you're a go-getter. I
Yeah,
heard this
that shows
stat.
initiative.
Speaking of like jobs, I heard a stat today. I don't believe it, but I kind of want to. It said 1 out of every 4 millennials are caretakers. Like that's their career.
Like a stay-at-home caretaker. What's the definition of a caretaker?
I don't know. Like they were just showing millennials with like really old people like doing something, like, oh, how's your knee, or like, here's your bedpan. But it said 1 out of every 4 millennials, and I don't even know where the cutoff of millennials is. Like I don't know if it's like people that are 19 right now. Are they
I
millennials?
don't think so. I think millennials are in their 30s right now. I would say like 30 to 36 is probably
So,
like
so you're,
millennials.
well, it's got to be wider than that. If you're 27 years old, you're getting called a millennial.
I don't think so. No, that's like Gen X or Gen Y or something. That's like Gen Y.
Yeah, it's not Gen X. Gen X is my brother.
Yeah. So that's yeah. Millennials are no. Millennials are getting older. So these people that are caretakers, they're like in their late 20s, like early to mid 30s.
Okay, because usually generations have like a 10-year gap or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Well, I think I
yeah.
think, and we could check the math on this, but I'm pretty sure millennials are like from like 81 to like
Hmm.
89 or 90 or something.
Well, there's our target market, caretakers.
Caretaker board game. There it is.
That's what I'm saying. You're like there's these different old people, different kinds. There's disabled people. There's just old people, and I can't even
Mhm.
think of more things. Physical rehab. Something's like a sports injury. So
Yeah.
you have to pick. You have to pick what you're gonna go for in this board game, and
Old Judith just lost her dentures. Help her find them.
right, and that's one of
Oh,
the
that's your
missions.
task. Well, it
That's your
goes back to
mission.
those quest things, right? So it's instead of you got to find the key to get the door, you got to go find the microscope so that you can find the irregular mole on Sandy.
Yeah, and see, and then get it tested to see if it's
Right, you got to check for a
the,
carcinoma.
the lab results came back, and this is what you got to go with. Here's the thing: if you're not a caretaker, you know someone who is. It's 1 out of every 4 people, so this game's gonna go over really well wherever you bring it.
That's it. Cats are out. Caretakering is in.
That's right. This is the next generation. So
We
you
got
gotta
to
pay attention. You gotta pay attention to these stats if you want to make a game. I mean,
keep your finger on the pulse, people.
yeah. I mean, for me, really though, it's just about like I think it partly is finding a way to make it work, like seeing that flash of a commercial, and then finding a way to make it work. And then the other thing is playing the game and actually enjoying it and being kind of proud, like playing it with a couple people
Right.
and being like, that was fun. But then you wonder, like, were they just pretending to enjoy it?
Yeah, well, there is a thing, and it's probably a pretty common thing, but it's the idea of begin with the end in mind. Most of the time, that's like, like, oh, if you want to write a paper, like you can picture like, how the end of the paper looks. But usually for you, it's like, oh yeah, I see the commercial and I see it on stores, and little Timmy's playing it with Johnny, and they're having a blast. That's like
Yeah,
your end of a board game when you start thinking of stuff.
yeah. It's I'm glad you say it. You see it that way because I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's just kind of.
Well, you don't want to get halfway through and then you're like, man, the commercial for this is gonna suck.
That's true, man. It's not a bad way to do it. It's
Yeah. You know, if
it's
I had
kind of
made the island survival game, that wouldn't have been a very good commercial. That would have just been like, can you survive every day? Make sure you drink enough water, make sure you eat enough food, and then the next day starts and do it all over again. What a great game. The
yeah.
commercial's not going to be as good.
That commercial would be great though on any kind of joke thing, like if it was Saturday Night Live or like any kind of Tim and Eric show. They're just like playing this board game, and it's that. It definitely works as that.
Well, maybe that's how the game of life started. People are like, let's make a game where you have to pay student loans and you have to get a salary and you have to get married and have children. And then someone was like, yeah, but we could maybe try and make that a little more fun.
Life is one of those things that I don't remember the game much, but have you ever thought about like how many different products are called Life? And you know what I mean?
I
I
can
can
think
only
of two.
yeah, I can only think of two right now as well. Just
The
just the
cereal.
cereal. They're just the cereal in the game, but
What
for some
about
reason,
lifesavers?
yeah, there's one. It's like
Uh, yeah.
I would think about stuff like that a lot, like just all the things that I remember. The other one was Monte Carlo, I think it was.
Monte Carlo.
I remember as a kid thinking, why is that so many things?
Really? Is it
Uh,
just? I thought it was a car and then a type of card game.
I think it was a guy's name too.
What? Was it
I'm
the guy that
pretty.
did the guy that invented the car?
I don't know. I had this weird memory of like a game show either called that or the host was called that.
Well, I think Monte Carlo is like a type of card game they play in casinos.
Okay,
So
so we
maybe it
got
was like a Price is Right kind of game where they had like a Monte Carlo.
yeah. I don't know. And I don't know why this is coming up to me now, but but yeah. Just random thoughts.
So maybe the next board game we make, The Life of Monte Carlo.
That
That's the
would be
name.
it. That's another one.
And you have to. It's just a cat toy game. Like you have to get your kids to play with cat toys. It's called The Life of Monte Carlo.
The cat toy game and the flashlight spy game. I think, like in my head, they're kind of gems. Like if we had a meeting, if we had a meeting tomorrow with Mattel, and we had to pitch them like three ideas, I think I would try to hone. Like we don't have much time, so I think we would, and I would stay up all night making like prototypes with you. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the flashlight game. I know there was well, like what is it? Outburst or categories or something. It was like there was things that were in red and you'd have
Hmm.
to put the red sheet of plastic over top of them to read
Yeah,
the text through it.
yeah, I'm kind of remembering this. Yeah.
And but you were saying with the flashlight, I'm thinking is maybe there's some kind of, you know, technology or whatever that you need a flashlight to be able to read certain words or
Well, yeah,
something.
like your team there's two teams and they could switch, or maybe it's like every like couple minutes or your turn or something. But when it's our team, we have the flashlight. The other team has like the mystery, like maybe it's a box, and we have these clues, and we have to shine it on the paper, and we have to see. And like, oh, we see a shadow. I'm like, oh, okay, so there's a pirate involved. You kind of have to guess like, oh, there's treasure in that box, and you're like, no, not treasure. And it was a boat the whole time. It was just a boat, but that
Right,
was
and everybody has to wear sunglasses so little kids aren't blinding each other with high-powered
yeah,
flashlights.
yeah, and that's part of like getting in the game. You have to wear these special glasses. The glasses don't really do much at all, but it's part of that like I'm playing this game.
Right, you get into you wear the costume.
Yeah, spies would always wear sunglasses. That's what bothered me about that Avengers movie. I don't remember much about the Avengers movie, but there's one Avengers movie where they're wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses because they're like, and this is in the beginning, and they're like kind of being spies or something.
They're incognito.
Yeah, it kind of bothered me for some reason.
I don't remember.
Did you see it? Did you see Avengers movies?
Yeah, I saw all of them. I
You
thought
did?
some were better than others, but I'm not a comic book guy, so I just watched them for entertainment value, not like, oh well, this happened in episode, book 6, issue 5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I think they're just making them for movies at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Could be
guess.
wrong.
But yes, I enjoyed the ones that I saw, I think.
Yeah.
I don't have much of a memory anymore. That's one thing. And maybe as we do more episodes, people will say, "Wow, he's really losing his memory. What the hell? We didn't remember
It,
what's going on in episode 1."
I hope by episode 15 we're just talking about the same exact stuff.
We're just
Like,
full dementia, and that's just,
well, you ruined my theory. I have this weird fake theory that mad cow disease is just like it's a form of like that, like that's what Alzheimer's is. It's just like it's because I heard it's a slow disease actually. Like if you eat meat, you don't eat meat, so I can't really say this, but if you eat meat, you might get mad cow disease. Like there's a good chance. I heard some weird thing. I'm probably totally off on this, and people are gonna heckle me for it, but it's like supposedly it's really common here in America, and they don't even test for it. Like they don't test cows for it. So in my head, I was like, I wonder if that's what old people get because it's really actually a slow disease. It's not like because I've never heard of a guy going, "Hey, did you hear about Bill?" They're like, "What do you mean?" I go, "Bill's got mad cow disease." I've never heard that ever, and I never heard anyone say I knew a guy that knew a guy that had mad cow disease. Have you?
no. I remember. I thought it was like a big epidemic back in the day, though, like a
It
rampant
was it was
rampant
a
mad cow going
scare.
around.
It was a scare. Like you'd always hear about the scare, like, what's what they go, what do you mean? Mad cow disease is back, and like in my head, I would always picture this like psychotic cow, like just on walking on two legs and being a nutcase. Um,
Yeah, I don't
but
remember much about it. I don't remember if it was like bacterial or a virus or something, but yeah, I don't have to worry about it because I don't eat meat. So
this podcast would probably be better animated if you think about it.
yeah, it probably would be. That's a lot of time though.
Yeah. Oh, if you're listening to this in 15, 20 years, please animate it. That way, everything we're saying, like the spy game, the commercial, it's all animated, and it'll look so much better than
Yeah,
just
well, you could at least grab some Google images and just throw them up.
yeah.
Uh,
That's a simple. You got some time in your hands, you could do that. But then you know what it does? It takes away the imagination of the
yeah,
listener.
yeah, let the imagination run free. Like when you picture children playing with a cat toy
Yeah,
and blinding each other with high-powered flashlights into their sunglass eyes, let your imagination do that.
right. Let them see that commercial in their heads the way they see it with the
Right.
actors. Maybe they're in the commercial right now.
Could be.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah, so I would say, to anybody that has fun making games, and wants to make their own game, just go for it. Grab some paper and pencil, make up a
Yeah.
bunch some stupid rules, simple rules, and just have fun and play it with people. And if you really enjoy it, move it to the next step and actually go into production with it.
Yeah, I mean, move in production fast because somehow they'll just get your idea and put it in stores, and you'll look, and you go, wow, I should have done it. So just do it. Like start doing it, do it. Why not? It's fun, and then you'll learn a lot along the way. By the time you're done, whether the game sucks or it's great, you have the experience under your belt, and then you go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and eventually you'll be very, very successful and happy, I think. Or you'll just waste your whole life. But I like to be positive on it.
Yeah, I think, life's a journey. If you're having fun along the journey, go for it.
Yeah, I have to always remind myself, like I have a lot of fun, I love my life. Like it's really designed by myself, and but I still have to remind myself, like, hey, just have a lot of fun, like just enjoy it all. Just everything you do, try to like insert a little bit of fun to it, a little bit of the joke or something random. You know, no matter how weird it is. I kind of like to remind myself that almost every day because it's easy to like get wrapped up into the world and be serious and be like boring and be, just fit in just because it's easier.
Yeah. And I think that's a good segue too. Is what we started this episode talking about, games we used to play when we were a kid. I remember when me and my brother used to make those mazes and stuff. We would have so much fun. You would just not care about what anybody thought. And I feel like if any of the listeners, if you can think back to when you were a kid playing those games and how fun it was and how ridiculous it was, bring that into adulthood. I feel like that's lost so much. Everybody turns into an adult. And
Yeah.
it's like this weird thing where people like, well, you can't be silly anymore. You have to take everything serious. I have bills to pay, and everything's serious. And well, yeah, we all have bills to pay. We all have lives to live, but have fun doing it. Like, don't turn into like a stuffy adult. Kids
Yeah.
don't like that.
When you write that check to pay your bill, draw a weird character on it. That way,
Yeah, stick it to
be
the
like,
man.
yeah, show him. I definitely try to do that if I'm signing if I have to sign an electronic thing, I always try to insert some kind of joke. I used to draw a lot, but now it's just kind of like a weird word or something I'll do. Where I'll just put a dot on it and just to enjoy myself on it. So you want to play that game we played last week where Ask Me Anything? Because we probably have like, you know,
Yeah,
around.
we got a
Yeah.
few minutes. Yeah.
All right. You want to go first, or should I?
Yeah, I got a question.
All right.
So it relates a little bit to something we talked about in the past. I was thinking about, I think I mentioned tree houses.
Yeah,
Have,
you
have
did.
have you ever built a treehouse or been in a treehouse?
Well, I've been in one in my adult life, and I might have been. Yeah, I was in like I won't even count it as a real treehouse as a kid. Like I would have loved to have a treehouse when I was a kid. Like one thing I did, and I don't even know what I was thinking, is I think I wanted to build a treehouse or something, but all I really did with my neighbor is like we were just cutting down somebody's tree. Like we we went up to these little like mini Christmas tree looking things. In my head, they were mini Christmas trees. They were maybe like 6 foot high, and it was like it wasn't ours by any means. It was just a neighbor. It was a neighbor's, and I said, "Let's cut it down with like a baseball bat and something else." And we were there doing it for like I don't know how long. It seemed like a long time. It was probably 3 minutes or 10 minutes, and I'm sure we didn't. I don't know what I was thinking, but I think I wanted a treehouse, and like this is how you do it. You need some wood, and the guy who owned the property, I think he like drove up and said, "What are you guys doing?" I was probably 7 years old or 6 years old. That's pretty young. Like you don't know what the hell you're doing, anyways. But
Yeah.
I think he yelled at us, and then we stopped, and I felt horrible about it. But looking back at it now, like he had like 9 perfect trees, and I just started to destroy one of them with this kid. And thank God the kid listened to me. I felt like that was kind of good leadership quality by me. But
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe we shouldn't beat up this tree with a baseball bat.
it was like a baseball bat, maybe like a rope, like we're making like a rope saw, but it was just a rope. So we probably just did some damage to this poor tree, and I'm sure we broke off some branches and stuff.
Well,
But
hopefully it's still standing to this day. We can hope.
yeah, I haven't drove by there in a long time. But yeah, I mean, I used to think the treehouse would be like a clubhouse. Like for some reason in the '80s, that was brainwashed into us. Like that's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
And
Bart Simpson had a treehouse.
yeah, he did. Heifer on Rocko's Modern Life. He moved into the treehouse when he got kicked out.
Right.
I feel like the treehouse is really important still because it's like I think it's become like the man cave for
Right.
men. It's like you
The kid
want
cave.
yeah, like you want this place where it's yours and you can decorate it the way you want and feel like you can do the fun stuff you want and all that and um yeah, I mean right now it's like my art studio is half of that, but um
It's like a
yeah,
little treehouse.
kinda, yeah. It's fun. It's fun, like having your own little thing. And I guess either if you're a bachelor and you have your own place, that's your treehouse. You could do whatever the hell you want. But sometimes when you buy a house and you have a family, it's like, well, where's my space besides the internet? So, um, all right, well, I'll ask you a question, and I don't even know where I'm going to go with this. Uh, I feel like for the first time I'm lost on here, but
Is it a game question?
that's what it's got to be, right? So,
Or anything we talked about?
yeah, yeah, I'm kind of well. Do you have any ideas? Like, I had those two weird commercial ideas. Do you have anything flash in your head in the last hour?
When you were talking about that,
Yeah, I mean, have
you
you
know,
ever had like your own thing?
well, I was thinking about how underrated glow in the dark is.
Yeah,
I I love glow in the dark.
me
Can I tell
too.
you? I mean, I don't think we use it enough. And so I was thinking when you're saying like shine the flashlight, yada yada, I was thinking, yeah, you shine the flashlight on this piece of paper and there's glow in the dark stuff, and then like you turn the
Yeah,
lights off and then it shines and stuff like that.
that's
But
it.
but yeah, just because I love glow in the dark, we need to put glow in the dark on everything. Why don't we paint the lines in the roads with glow in the dark, so that like like at nighttime, like you can see the lights like even further down the road before your headlights get to them, and headlights will light them up.
Let's
And
take
why
it one
don't
step further. Why isn't it like Tron? Why do our roads? I feel like everything looks so like not the way it's supposed to for 2019.
well, that's like the futuristic stuff that everybody thinks is going to happen. We don't have flying cars yet either. But glow in the dark stuff. I wanted to paint my entire bathroom glow in the dark so that you could walk in, flip the switch, and flip it back off, and you don't have to keep the lights on.
That'd look
That's just
cool.
that's a money saver. But I
That,
feel
and
like glow
that'd
in
be
the dark is
fun.
underutilized.
You're right, it is. I mean, and maybe we need better glow in the dark too. Like
Yeah,
you
glow
know
in
what
the
I mean?
dark
Sometimes
2.0.
yeah, I think that's what we need to come up with. We need to invent that because glow in the dark 1.0, I think that's what the problem is with it. Why isn't money glow in the dark? I'm just looking at my money like it looks like it should be glow in the dark.
That
Like
would be one harder way to counterfeit it.
US dollars, they look like they should glow in the dark and they would look so cool. If you walked into like a club or like made a drug deal, I'm against drugs obviously, but you just like here's the money.
They
You know,
might
like,
they might glow under blacklight. I don't know.
they probably do, but they should glow in the dark. That'd be pretty fun. I'm working on my dollars still for that gallery shit.
Yeah, I remember you had like 600 to do or something.
Yeah, like 400. It's driving
Okay.
me crazy. Yeah.
All right. Well, so that's the answer. Glow in the dark is underutilized.
It
So
really is. I love it. Let's make a better future. And I want to walk into somebody's bathroom and you turn off the light, like when you leave it, and you're like, oh, the whole time it was glow in the dark.
patent pending. So
That's
that just about wraps up this episode. So we talked a lot about a lot of stuff. Analog gaming
Yep,
was is big, and I think people should get into analog gaming if they haven't. And if you want to make your own game, go for it.
definitely do. Don't hold back. Be a kid. Have a lot of fun. That's the lessons.
That's it. So this has been the Creator Podcast with Jeff and Gus. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Take care.
All right. See ya.